Hi, everyone. We're going to be getting started in just a minute, so just hang tight. We're going to let some more people log in here. You can go ahead and say hi in the chat and maybe tell us what college you're attending or the one you want to attend. Wow, we have a lot of attendees today.
We have somebody already waiting to talk also in the waiting room.
Okay, great. So everyone, we're going to be starting soon. Please say hi in the chat. Tell us which college you either are attending or hope to attend. And we're going to wait just a minute or two here and give some more people a chance to log in.
Wow, there's tons. So we get a private message that says, let's see, I think it was a, where is it? I just saw it. Somebody had messaged us privately and said what it is. I can't even find it. There's so many messages. There's Berkeley College of Music is in here. We've got Caltech or CSUN. I heard that was the private one. So okay. Caltech, Moravian College. I'm saying it right. Forgive me. ASU, University of the Cumberlands, FIU or FNU, Southeastern University, Nova Community College, Hollins University. Someone's from Dover, Delaware. The USC, Wilmington University, University of Irvine, University of Michigan. Let's see, someone's from Massachusetts, and they're attending on behalf of their daughter. They're not sure where they're going to go yet, but they're thinking about it. Pratt Institute. Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah, there's tons, and they're all over. We got a mix of public and private. This is awesome. I'm so excited to have you all here. People are still logging in, so I'm going to get started kind of slowly because I don't want anyone to miss out on what we're talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about creative ways to reduce your college costs. You know, it's a great topic, and it's one of the most popular webinars that we do because everyone, of course, wants to know how to save money for college. And there are the ways that everybody knows about, and then there are some ways that a lot of people don't know about. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those strategies with you today. We are going to be doing a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. So please, if you do have questions, go ahead and either write them down or input them in the chat. You can also hit the speak button with the little hand there and get in the queue to speak. But we will not start taking live questions like that until after the initial presentation. And I see people are asking how long the webinar is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be about an hour. I often do go over, though, if there are a lot of questions. So, you know, just hang out and we'll try to get all your questions answered. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a slide presentation, which I will go through. And then we're going to do the live Q&A. And I just want to take a second here and introduce myself. I'm Jen, this is Dom, and Dom is going to be running our new Discord community, which we will tell you more about as we start the live Q&A, but we're really excited to build a wonderful community that's going to be very active with lots of fun things to do, and we're going to be doing that with our students. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the slide deck here, and you'll see me and Dom in just a minute. All right. So, as I said, my name is Jennifer Finetti. I am an admissions counselor with Scholarship Owl, and I've worked with high school and college students for several years, providing college coaching, admissions counseling, financial aid and scholarship advising, career counseling, academic advising, college application coaching, essay assistance, and more. I've helped students get into their dream schools and help them earn scholarships that reduce their out-of-pocket cost. So if you're in the process of applying to colleges, or if you will be soon, I'm sure that one of the things that's foremost on your mind is the ever-growing cost of college. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, what can I do to reduce my out-of-pocket college costs? If you've been wondering the same thing, you're in luck, because today I'm going to share the tips and strategies that I've found to be helpful for my own kids, as well as for the students that I've worked with. So let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. Hold on 1 second here. My own slide deck isn't working right. 1 second. So in today's webinar, we're going to start with the basics. We're talking about understanding the cost of attendance, how to determine your financial need, how the FAFSA can help, applying for scholarships, other ways you can reduce the cost of college. And let's see here. We're going to start by talking about understanding the cost of attendance. So when thinking about college costs, it is important to understand each college's cost of attendance. How can you know which colleges are affordable for you if you don't know what attending is actually going to cost? So it's important to know this information for each college that you're interested in. The easiest way to determine the estimated cost of attendance of a college is to look for that information on the college's website. Most, if not all, colleges have this information readily available. So here's a chart that ballparks the percent of cost that goes toward tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, and transportation and other expenses. You might be surprised to see that in many cases, room and board costs more than tuition and fees. Also be aware that some colleges also list the cost of health insurance as part of college costs. So if that's the case for you, and if you already have health insurance, know that you can actually deduct that from the cost of college. However, what's important to see here is that tuition and fees, while it's expensive, in most cases, it's actually room and board that's actually even more expensive than tuition and fees. And a lot of people don't know that. All right. So according to the College Board, the average cost of attending an in-state public university in the United States is about $25,000 per year. Multiply that by 4, and you'll see that the average cost of a bachelor's degree is about $100,000 if you attend a public in-state university. The average cost of attending an out-of-state public university is about $42,000 per year, or multiplied by 4, that's $168,000 for a 4-year degree. The average cost of attending a private university in the US is about $52,000 per year, multiplied by 4. That means the average cost for a bachelor's degree at a private university will top $200,000. So if you think about this, you would need to realize, of course, that these numbers are about the cost of attendance and not the dollar amounts that many students will actually pay. Because, of course, many students are awarded federal or state grant aid, and many students receive scholarships as well. So the actual out-of-pocket costs may be considerably less. Private colleges do have large endowments, and they do sometimes offer substantial scholarships, perhaps $18,000 to $25,000 per year for students who have strong grades and strong test scores. But even with financial aid and scholarships, many students do take out student loans, and their parents often have to take out loans as well. And all of these loans have to be paid back. But need-based grants and scholarships do not have to be paid back. They are gift money. So how does a person qualify for these need-based grants and scholarships? We're going to find out. So let's talk about how to determine financial need. Okay, so this is a standard equation that is used by people who review the FAFSA. To determine your financial need, the college's financial aid representative uses a simple equation. They subtract your expected family contribution, or EFC, from the total cost of attendance, or COA. The result is your financial need. So COA minus EFC equals your financial need. If the total cost of attendance of your intended university is $35,000 a year, and if your EFC is $10,000, then your financial need is $25,000. Will you get $25,000 in financial aid? Possibly, but not necessarily. Even though you might need $25,000 in financial aid and scholarships to be able to afford the university, it doesn't mean you're going to receive that much from the school. So let's say you're offered $20,000 in financial aid and scholarships from the university. This is a process referred to as gapping. The university has left you with a gap of $5,000 that you'll need to make up somewhere, perhaps from your own savings or a part-time job or your parents' savings, etc. But let's not forget that in this example, the EFC is $10,000. That means that the student or student's family will need to come up with $10,000 plus the $5,000 to be able to afford this university. And of course, the costs I'm giving here are annual. So the total out-of-pocket cost for the student could actually be about $60,000 for a 4-year degree, plus a bit more, because the cost of college increases a little bit each year. Of course, you can take out student loans, and your parents could take out loans. But as I pointed out before, this is all money that you and they would need to pay back. And you would also have to pay interest on what you borrow. Wouldn't you and your family be better served if you could earn grants and scholarships to reduce your reliance on loans? Because you don't have to pay grants and scholarships back, and the money you earn would go directly toward your out-of-pocket costs. So to get started, you're going to have to start by submitting the FAFSA. Now, if you are applying for college for this fall, hopefully by now you have already submitted the FAFSA because in many states, the FAFSA deadline has already passed. For example, I live in California, and the deadline in California is March 2nd. So, you're going to have to see what the deadline is in your own state. The federal deadline isn't until June, but for many states, the deadline is earlier. So if you haven't yet submitted the FAFSA and if you plan to attend college this fall, you're going to want to get on that right away. So let's talk a little bit about the FAFSA and how your EFC is determined. So with the FAFSA, what you need to do is you should attend, if you're planning on attending college, you complete and submit the FAFSA, even if you don't think you're going to be eligible for grant aid. You may discover that you do qualify. The only way to know for sure is to submit it. If you're interested in taking out student loans or would like to be considered for work study opportunities, you're going to also have to submit the FAFSA. Many scholarships also require that students submit the FAFSA as part of their application requirements. And universities often require that students submit the FAFSA. In fact, without it, some universities might not even consider you for merit aid and scholarships. So it's really important that you do go ahead and submit the FAFSA. Once you submit it, you're going to receive a student aid report or SAR that provides you with your EFC number. If your EFC number is 5,000, then you can interpret that to mean that your expected family contribution is estimated to be $5,000. Note that this is an estimate and that only the financial aid officer at the college can determine what you might receive in your financial aid offer. All right. So once you've submitted your FAFSA, you'll then need to wait a while for each of the colleges to present you with your financial aid offer. Note that many colleges won't work on your financial aid file until after they've sent out an offer of admission, which can be frustrating. Private and out-of-state schools do sometimes offer scholarship at the time an admission offer is made, but even then they may not yet have determined whether or not you will receive any state or federal grant aid. Your financial aid offer might include a combination of federal and/or state grants, student loans, work study, scholarships, etc. Or it might include only one or two of those. Many students are offered loans only. It depends on your EFC as well as how much funding is available. So you'll want to follow up to ensure you understand your full financial aid and scholarship package before you accept an offer of admission. There are three primary sources of scholarships. Scholarships that are offered directly by each college or university. These are scholarships that you can apply to only if you are applying to attend that school. Some colleges will automatically consider you for scholarships once you submit your regular application to the school, while others have a separate scholarship application process. You'll need to research this for each college you're applying to and find out what the scholarship application deadlines are. Don't assume that the university will notify you about scholarships. It's up to you to do the legwork and make sure that you apply on time. And be aware that the scholarship application deadline is typically prior to admission decisions being sent out. So don't be the student who gets accepted to her dream school and only then decides to apply for university scholarships, because by the time you're accepted, the scholarship deadline may well have already passed. Okay, the next great source of scholarships are the local ones in your own community. The easiest way to find out about them is to ask your high school career counselor or guidance counselor. Most high schools keep track of local scholarships, and in fact, in many cases, the high school actually has a single application that you can use for all of the local scholarships listed with the high school. Local scholarships are awesome because far fewer students will apply for them since they are only offered to students in your community. And finally, there are many, many scholarships offered by third-party organizations. You can apply to as many of these kinds of scholarships as you like. If you're diligent and persistent, you might find that you're able to earn scholarships that really make a difference in your out-of-pocket costs. Most students search for third-party scholarships online using Google or by visiting any number of websites that discuss scholarships. The process is typically overwhelming and time-consuming, which explains why students unfortunately often give up on searching for scholarships. It can be really frustrating. And of course, since seniors are super busy applying for colleges, as well as working hard in school and preparing for graduation, it can be difficult to summon up the energy to also search for scholarships, let alone to apply for them. For those of you who are students, it's really important, though, that you do go ahead and apply for scholarships. I'm just going to talk very briefly today about Scholarship Owl. Obviously, I work for Scholarship Owl, so there's a reason I'm bringing it up. But at the same time, it's worthwhile to talk about it a little bit, because if you've been on our platform, maybe you don't really know how to use it, or maybe you're just not quite sure how to get started. So I'm going to spend just a minute talking about Scholarship Owl. And then after that, I'm going to talk about a lot of other things you can do to reduce your college costs, even if you don't get a single scholarship. So Scholarship Owl has created a unique platform that enables you to view hundreds of scholarships all in one place, enabling you to avoid using Google to search for opportunities. Instead, you can just log into Scholarship Owl and see scholarships right in our dashboard. This significantly streamlines the search process. In addition, you won't have to fill out an application form each time you apply for a scholarship. Instead, your Scholarship Owl registration information automatically fills in application forms for scholarships in our database. This saves you time and enables you to focus on the most critical aspect of applying for scholarships, which is creating and submitting whatever is required to accompany your application. Typically, that would be an essay or a video, although of course there are some scholarships that don't have any requirements at all. And for those scholarships, all you do is click the apply button and you've already applied. It's important to note that the scholarships in our platform have all been pre-screened by our staff, so you know that the scholarship is real and that the information is current. I also want to note that the scholarships in our database are all scholarships that you could find yourself if you spent lots of time Googling and searching. What makes the difference is that we've already done the searching for you, and our platform streamlines the application process. So what's really interesting about our system is that the search, match, and application process all happen in one place. You don't ever have to leave the platform once you've gotten started. You can even write and edit your essays right in our platform. So it's really easy, makes this process simpler, and we make it faster for you to apply for scholarships. And so you can actually apply to more scholarships faster, easier, and because scholarships are really a numbers game, the more you apply for, the greater your chances of winning. So there's a lot of really good reasons to try Scholarship Owl. And we do have a free trial, so you can try it for the first 7 days, see if you like it. And if it's not for you, or if if you give it a shot and for whatever reason you decide you don't want to continue, you can cancel. So you can cancel during your trial, or you can even cancel at any time after that. All right. The most important thing to remember when applying for scholarships is that you should apply for all three types: the scholarships offered by the colleges you're applying to, local scholarships in your own community, and the third-party scholarships like the ones you can find in our platform or online. I really recommend that you create a plan for applying for scholarships so that you won't be tempted to delay applying, or worse, give up entirely. Your plan should be measurable, attainable, and manageable. You should write your plan down so you'll stick with it. For example, if you decide you're going to apply to, let's say, three scholarships per week or per month or whatever, takeaway here is that you can only earn scholarships if you actually apply for them. It's important to note that if you are selected for a scholarship, you didn't actually win the money. You earned it through your efforts. Applying for scholarships takes time, persistence, and ingenuity. So students who apply to more scholarships will significantly increase their chances of earning scholarships as compared to those who apply to only a few, and certainly as compared to students who don't apply for any. Also, once you get into the swing of applying for scholarships, there are things you can do to streamline the process. For example, let's say that you applied for a scholarship that required you to submit a 500-word essay about your academic and career goals. When you're looking for other scholarships, you can check to see which ones require an essay with a similar topic, and then you can apply to each of them one by one, using your original essay as a starting point. So maybe one of the scholarships wants a 750-word essay on that topic. You can take your original essay and add details and content to expand it to 750 words. Or perhaps another scholarship wants a 250-word essay on the topic. You can now take that 500-word version and edit and trim it down to get to 250. So if you follow this process, you'll be able to quickly and easily apply to a good handful of scholarships, and it really won't take that much time. All right. So other ways to reduce college costs. I think it's important that everyone also understand that in addition to applying for financial aid and scholarships, there are some other things you can do to reduce your cost. So we're going to talk about some of those options right now. First of all, you can specifically seek out universities that offer lower cost or even free tuition. So here are some examples. Public in-state universities are typically going to charge a lower tuition rate for state residents. So when you apply to colleges, be sure that you apply to some public universities in your own state, just in case you're not able to obtain enough financial aid or scholarships for an out-of-state or private institution. There are also a good number of private colleges and universities that offer reduced tuition or even free tuition. Be sure to explore those colleges and consider applying to some of them as well. Here are some of the colleges that offer free tuition that you might want to consider. And this is just a brief list just to give you an idea of the kinds of schools that are out there. Alice Lloyd College in Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, or West Virginia, you may be eligible for free tuition there. Barclay College in Kansas is a small Christian university. If you live on campus, you also might qualify for free tuition. Berea College in Kentucky offers free tuition to all students. Students must work at least 10 hours a week on campus to qualify. College of the Ozarks in Missouri offers all students free tuition, but students need to work at least 15 hours a week on campus. If you are a music major, consider applying to the Curtis Institute of Music in Pennsylvania. Curtis offers free tuition to all students, but students must be accepted via selective audition process. Warren Wilson College in North Carolina offers free tuition to in-state residents who qualify for need-based aid. Students work at least 10 hours per week on campus. Webb Institute in New York offers full tuition scholarships to all accepted students who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents. Webb is a small school offering one course of study, a dual degree in naval architecture and marine engineering. Now, most of you may not be interested in naval architecture and marine engineering, but just in case one or two of you are, it's a great idea to apply to Webb Institute in New York. You also might consider joining the armed forces. If you pledge to serve in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard, you will be eligible for education benefits through the GI Bill. Some colleges also offer automatic merit scholarships based on your high school GPA or SAT or ACT score. Those that do this will usually tell you how much of a scholarship you'll get right on their website, making it easy to see whether or not you would qualify for one of their automatic scholarships. You can also apply to public universities in nearby states that participate in a tuition reciprocity program. A tuition reciprocity program is one in which public universities offer a reduction in their out-of-state tuition costs to residents of nearby states. Not all universities participate, and there are sometimes parameters that need to be followed. For example, sometimes students must meet minimum GPA or test score requirements to be offered the tuition reduction. Or in some cases, colleges might offer a tuition reduction only for certain majors. A tuition reciprocity program is one in which public universities offer a reduction in their out-of-state tuition costs to residents of nearby states. Sorry about that. The Midwestern Higher Education Compact, or MHEC, offers the Midwest Student Exchange Program. This program serves public universities located in Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. If you live in one of those states, you may be able to qualify for reduced tuition rate at one of the other public universities in one of the other states on the list. If you live in the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education Region, or WISH, then your state participates in the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, which is also known as WUI. The WISH states and territories are Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Guam, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. So if you live in one of these states or territories, you may be able to qualify for a reduced rate at one of the public universities in one of the other states in the region. Other exchange programs include the Southern Regional Education Board Academic Common Market, which often is referred to as the Academic Common Market, serving Alabama, Arkansas, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia, as well as the New England Board of Higher Education's Tuition Break Program, which serves Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. So these are really great programs, and I highly recommend that if you haven't heard about them or tried to find out if you have an interest in one of the universities that qualifies, you should check it out because it's a great way to save money if you want to go to school in another state. Other ways to reduce college costs. So one thing you really might want to do is consider living at home and commuting. I know this may not be a favorite idea for a lot of students, but if you live at home and you commute to a university or community college, you can save a significant amount of money. The other thing you could do is consider living away from home, but attending a community college out of the area rather than a university to save on tuition. So for example, you could live in a community, you could live away from your home in an apartment and go to a community college nearby, or you could actually go out of the area and live in community college or university. So there's different things that you can do, and you can talk to your guidance counselor to ask about local programs, scholarships, fee waivers. There's all sorts of things available. So we're going to go through a summary here. Be sure to understand the cost of attendance for each of the schools you're targeting. Submit the FAFSA and understand the formula for determining your eligibility for need-based aid. Be aware that colleges might gap you and might not offer you enough need-based or merit aid to cover your financial need. If you're not yet a Scholarship Owl member, you may want to activate your free trial and start applying for scholarships. Also create a plan for applying to scholarships, something that's manageable, attainable, and measurable, and understand the other strategies for reducing out-of-pocket costs. One of the things I also want to mention is that a lot of states are now really getting onto the idea of having free tuition. It's been very politicized. We hear a lot about it politically, that maybe more progressive members of Congress are interested in free college, or, we hear talk about getting student loans refunded. There's a lot of that going on, but nothing's really happening yet, right? So there's no movement on that. However, what I can say is that a lot of colleges are starting to offer community college for free. That's one of the things that's happening in California and in many other states. So it's worth finding out. If you're considering going to community college first, find out if tuition is now free in your state for community college. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end my slide deck here and come on back for our live Q&A. All right. The other thing I want to mention too, by the way, is that New York has recently done something where if you want to go to college in New York and attend a public university and you're a resident of New York, if your family earns, I think, under $125,000, you can get free tuition there. One thing you need to know, though, is that if you get free tuition in New York through that program, it's not, it is free tuition, but you have to be willing to commit to working in the state of New York for a certain period of time after you graduate. And if you leave before you have worked the amount of time you've committed to, then it will be converted to a loan. So you'd still get to go to college, but you'd have to pay that money back instead of it being for free. And I think the way it works, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that for each year that you get free tuition, you have to commit to working at least 1 year within the state of New York before moving away, I think is how it works. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do some live Q&A here.
Sure. You want to start with the person that's in the waiting room?
Yeah, go ahead and invite him in. And if he doesn't come in right away, we can go ahead and do a question from the chat.
Cool. And there are tons this time, so we're going to have to, we may only have time for some because they keep coming in.
We'll do the best we can here. So go ahead. Ask me the first question.
Sure. Okay, so if I go down the list, the long list. So this is kind of an interesting one. This person says they're a parent. It says their husband and actually, let's wait because we have someone trying to enter the room. Here's Seth.
Okay, Seth. Do you want to see if you can get your camera and mic working?
Let me see.
Okay, I hear you. So while you're trying to get your, here you are.
There we go.
All right. So what question do you have?
So actually, I have two.
Okay.
So how do I pay for indirect costs like room and board if I don't have enough scholarship money, or if I don't receive enough scholarship money after completing so many scholarships? It's kind of a lengthy question. And if I'm not eligible for the various scholarships I apply for, what do I do? Like,
okay,
if my tuition is already covered, like all my fees is already covered.
Okay, so it's about your. Oh, looks like somehow Seth is gone. That's okay. If he's not, he's coming back. Okay. So if I understand you right, it sounds like your tuition and fees are covered, but you need to figure out how to cover your living expenses. Correct?
Okay. And it also sounds like there's a concern around what scholarships you can actually apply for, like which ones work for you. So maybe we can kind of talk about that as well.
Sure. Let me first start by saying that, first of all, if your tuition and fees are covered, you're in better shape than a lot of people. So be very pleased that at least you have that much that's already covered. May I ask, what state do you live in and which college are you attending?
I live in Alabama. I'm going to HBCU, Alabama A&M University.
Awesome. All right. So I assume you've already applied through to the scholarships through the university. Is that right?
Not yet. I did. I will be soon. I've been working on outside scholarships like major scholarships, mini scholarships, but I'll start applying for scholarships for that university and like between April and September.
Awesome.
Okay. My tuition is covered because I did 2 applications that cover the city schools that I'm in. It covers full tuition.
Okay, awesome. So, keep doing what you're doing. First of all, the fact that you're applying to private scholarships and then you're going to be applying to university scholarships, that's awesome. The other thing, of course, that you can do, and you might want to explore different options first, is not the best option, but you could take out student loans. A lot of students do that. And one of the things that you may want to consider is having loans be your fallback. So, try the other things that we're going to talk about in a second, but you can always apply for loans as a fallback. And then if it turns out that your other sources of income work out for you, you can always just not take out the loans later, right? Or you can pay them back early. So are you working part-time?
Sort of. I'm doing an internship right now. Then I'll be working in June and July.
Okay, great. So obviously, if you have a job or an internship, you want to save as much money as you can to put that money aside for college. If you have any gift money coming up from friends or family, or just if you've got a birthday, tell everybody you need money for college, right? So that's one way you can, get additional money and save for that when you do go away to school. I would say you've already received your financial aid award from the university. Have you already found out if you've got your Pell Grant and your any state grants?
I did the FAFSA on October 1st, so I received my SAR, received everything back,
Okay, good.
and what I qualify for, and Pell Grants and everything.
Okay, so I really highly recommend that you apply for scholarships through the university as soon as possible. I know you're saying you're going to do that in April through September. If you can apply sooner, I would recommend applying sooner. So that would be the other thing I would say, and just keep doing what you're doing. Try to earn income, the best you can from a job, but you can always go for student loans to help out if needed. And work study. Were you offered work study through your FAFSA?
Yes, I selected work study. That way I won't have issues with cost of anything throughout any semester or college. So I'll be working at the same time. That's great.
So it sounds like you're doing all the right things. I would just say keep doing what you're doing, for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Okay, so they keep coming in, the questions. So we'll see how many we can get through. The one I mentioned before was a parent said that her husband and her actually keep separate finances. And so they want to know if they need to state this info on the FAFSA, and how would that work for it when they're filling out the FAFSA for their student?
Okay. And I don't know exactly what their family situation is. If
Sure.
the parents live separately, in other words, if it's a divorce situation or legal separation or something like that, and if the student is living with one parent more than the other, you only need to include one parent's income on the FAFSA. You do not need to include both parents' income. However, if the student is living with both parents, but they keep their finances separate, that's more of a technical question that, I'm not exactly sure how that would work. You'd probably want to contact the financial aid advisor at your college, or you can actually contact the FAFSA people directly. You might be surprised. It's a government organization. You might think that they don't ever answer their phones or whatever, but they actually do, and they give great advice. So you can always call the number for FAFSA, and they will advise you on how to handle that.
Cool. And actually, the next person asked a very similar question, but your answer, I think, addresses their question. Someone asked, how do we check if students and parents students or parents are submitted? I assume they mean for FAFSA. Maybe they mean scholarships. They said, I thought we did, but different colleges say I have incomplete info for fall 2021. Do we complete 2021 or 21-22?
Okay. All right. I'll do my best to answer that. Sometimes when you submit information, whether it's the FAFSA or test scores or transcripts, any of those things that colleges ask you to submit when you apply, sometimes some colleges will receive it and some colleges will not. And you won't really know why that happened, right? You think you sent it to everybody. It should have worked out. But for some reason, certain colleges are saying they didn't get everything. So what you want to do is when you see that someone says your file is incomplete, you want to make sure that you submit everything they're asking for, even if you think you've already submitted it. Even if, let's say, you're applying to 2 UC schools in California and one UC says your file is complete and the other one says it's not. Make sure you send everything to the one that says it's not, and then follow up with the school that says they have everything and say, hey, this other school didn't get it all. Did you get it all? because unfortunately, when they're turning down people, when they do rejections, if they do not have a complete file and the deadline has passed, they will just deny you. I've worked with students who have literally lost the opportunity to attend school simply because their ACT score didn't arrive to one campus, but it arrived to all of the others. So always make sure that everybody has what they're supposed to receive from you.
Cool. This is I wasn't going to mention this one, but it's a slightly altered version of a number of questions we've already gotten. As you probably have seen, a lot of people have asked if there is going to be a way to get this recording of our session later on, which, the answer is yes. But someone else asked, would it be possible to get access to the slides as well? Do we give those out?
I don't normally give the slides away. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'd have to prepare a file because I have my own speaker notes in my file, so I would want to take them out. If you're interested in receiving the slide deck, the person who has asked that question, go ahead and send an email to support@scholarshipowl.com. And I'm going to put that into the chat. And you can say that you have a question for Jen, and they will forward the email to me.
Actually, I just stuck it to the top of the chat.
Oh, did you? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if you really need the slide deck, then let me know.
Cool. Let's see. Okay, so a question for someone, and I don't know if they are if they are living in internationally now, or if they want to go to international schools. But they said, is the FAFSA available for international students? Okay.
So I get this question all the time. The FAFSA is something you are eligible for if you're a U.S. citizen or if you are an otherwise qualified U.S. resident. It's a little complicated. I don't have all the data in front of me, but basically, you have to be here legally in the United States to qualify. I think you can be, it's like you have to be a legal resident, even if you're not a U.S. citizen. There's a list for that. You can actually Google that and find out online exactly what the requirements are. So if you don't qualify under that, then no, you would not qualify for the FAFSA. So if you are an international student or if you're undocumented, you cannot submit the FAFSA. However, if you're an undocumented student in certain states, there are ways that you can get state grant aid, even if you can't get federal grant aid. So for example, in California, if you are undocumented, you may be able to qualify through the DACA program, and you can find out about that depending on what state you live in.
Cool. I did just let a couple people in if they want to join the chat. They were in the waiting room, so we'll see if they pop in.
Okay.
But until then, I think this is obviously addressed briefly in the middle of our session, but someone asked, do you need to have a membership for Scholarship Owl, and how does that work?
Okay, so with Scholarship Owl, if you want to sign up for a free trial, what'll happen is you'll complete a brief form about yourself. When you submit that form, you'll be automatically entered into one of the scholarships that we offer called You Deserve It Scholarship. And then you'll be asked to complete a profile about yourself, and you'll be able to see a list of scholarships that you would qualify for. If you want to go ahead and be able to apply to those scholarships, then you need to sign up for a free trial. The free trial is for 7 days, and what you would do is you would put your credit card in or a PayPal account in. It will not charge your account for the first 7 days. So you can apply to as many scholarships as you want for free during that time. And then at the end of the trial, before the 7th day, if you want to cancel at any time, you can cancel, and then your credit card or PayPal account will not be charged. After the first 7 days, if you do not cancel, then your credit card would be charged at that point. But the first 7 days are free. I also want to clarify, some people ask, are you charging to apply for scholarships? And that's not what we're doing. We have a platform where we provide hundreds of scholarships that you're eligible for. So we do charge a fee to have access to our platform, but you don't pay a fee to actually apply for the scholarships. So I know that can be a little bit confusing. And you can always cancel at any time. Even if you pay the fee, you're a full-fledged member and you're paying and you're using our service. If you want to cancel at any time, you can go ahead and contact our customer support and cancel. All right, so who is in the room? Jessica, how can I help you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. I was actually the one asking about mine and my husband's finances, and
Okay.
I am I will be the student. So does that make any difference with anything? Because everything of his is separate. We even have it in our prenup. We don't do anything together financially, which, trust me, that's a secret to a good marriage, because then you don't have to worry about anything. So am I allowed to just leave them off?
That's a very good question. I don't know the answer. I've actually never been asked that question. You're legally married?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure. I don't know how the FAFSA would view that. That's something I would say you should probably call FAFSA about. You don't have to give your name. You can just call anonymously and say, I have this question and just want to know how that works out. Yeah, because I don't know how they would handle that.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, and then somebody did join briefly. They left, but I think I saw a Jamie. So Jamie, if you're interested in joining at some point, feel free to jump back into the waiting room. But until then, let's see. We've got. Okay, somebody asked, and I think this covers a few different questions I saw. Are most of these scholarships for incoming freshmen, or should we search every year of college, and maybe we can wrap in high school into that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great question. I get asked all the time. So first of all, you should be applying to scholarships in your later years of high school for sure. So junior and senior year, you can start searching for scholarships sooner as well, but especially junior and senior year. And then you should be also searching for scholarships every single year of college, because every year you have to requalify for financial aid and scholarships. So the amount of income that your family is making one year may change the next year. And so it could be you qualify for more or less every single year. So you always have to reapply. And you should definitely apply for scholarships year round every year. So many students wait until their senior year in high school to apply. They often wait until after they figure out where they're going to go to school. The problem is you make your decision maybe May 1st, but it could be that university's scholarship deadline has already passed in February. And, as a college counselor and advisor, I can't tell you the number of students that I have been working with their parents who say, aha, now I know where I want to go. I want to apply for scholarships, but they've missed the boat because a lot of them have already passed the deadline. And now they have a finite amount of time to earn the money they need to be able to afford that school. So it's really important that you plan ahead for that you apply year round, and that you don't stop until after you graduate. And of course, when you graduate, what if you want to go to graduate school? Now you got to start scholarship applications again. So got to just keep going. All right. Let's see. Jamie, how can I help you? I can't hear you. Can you turn on your mic? Try again. No, I don't hear you. I see you. Not sure what's going on. Dom, you don't hear her, right?
Oh, no, I don't. You might need to adjust your audio setting, because it does say your audio is on. So I'm thinking it might be something connected to your audio. So you might need to adjust which microphone is the default.
I'm not sure if you know how to do that, but what you could do is you could ask your question in the chat, and then I can respond to it. If you want to type it in, then I can just respond to it there. So while you type it in, we're going to answer somebody else's question, and we'll come right back to you.
Sure. And of course, if you figure it out, feel free to join back in on the audience.
Yes, sure.
Okay, cool. So let me see. Sorry, there's just so many. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting question. Somebody asked, how do you know a site is safe when applying for scholarships? And I think that probably also can be branched out into, how do you know a scholarship is safe, right? That you're
how do you know it's legit? A lot of people are worried about scholarship scams. Totally understand it. We worry about scholarship scams too at Scholarship Owl. So I'll just tell you a little bit about what we do to handle that. And, this is not necessarily what all scholarship providers do or all websites do, but this is what we do. If you apply for private scholarships on our platform, you'll see something called a credibility score, which is really interesting. The higher the score, the more confident you can feel in applying for that scholarship. The lower the score, you can feel a little bit less confident. So as an example, you might say, well, how do you come up with those scores, right? Well, every single scholarship that's in our database has been pre-screened on some level by our staff. So even though we're a platform, there's a team of people behind Scholarship Owl, and we do have a scholarship team that finds scholarships, vets them, and then puts them into our system. So the ones that have really high credibility scores are the ones where maybe we have a relationship with that provider. So we're familiar with them. We know who's behind the scholarship. We see that they offer it every year and that the money is given. So those scholarships have a high score in our system. The scholarships that have a lower score, it's not that we necessarily think it's a bad scholarship, but it may be that maybe we sent an email or tried to call that provider and didn't get a response. So it doesn't mean that they're not offering the scholarship or that it's a bad scholarship, but it may mean that we couldn't get a hold of them. And so because of that, we're going to rate them a little bit lower on our scoring system. You know, a lot of people, when they talk about scholarship scams, there's that phrase that makes you think that, oh, they're trying to defraud you. So let me clarify, when people say scholarship scams, what it actually means. It's not so much that somebody's trying to defraud you. What it is that maybe the reason they're offering a scholarship is because they're hoping to get your data, not in a bad way, but because they want to market to you. So you'll see a lot of scholarships where they'll want you to fill out a form, and, you know, they'll ask you some basic information about yourself. And so you fill it out and you apply for the scholarship. Maybe it's a $500 or $1,000 scholarship, and they might offer it, let's say, every month or even, you know, every 3 months. It's not that the money isn't awarded. What it is, though, is that they're taking that data and they may use that data to market their product to you, or they may sell it to an affiliate. So when people talk about scholarship scams, it's not that they're defrauding you or that the money won't be awarded typically. What it is, though, is that they have a purpose for trying to get your information and offering that scholarship. They want to market their products to you. So it's just something you need to know about, right? And some students actually create a special email address to apply to scholarships, just so that they don't get some of the, you know, the general broadcast emails, the marketing emails put into their regular email account. So there's different things you can do if you want to kind of weed out the marketing emails, but it doesn't mean that those scholarships are bad. It just means that, you know, these companies that offer scholarships, there's a reason they do it. Sometimes it's they're altruistic and want to do nice things, but sometimes there's a business reason as well.
Cool. I actually do see Jamie's question now
Awesome.
In the chat. So she asked, if I apply to a scholarship for a college but still haven't been submitted, was that a good step?
Okay. It really depends. It's not that it's not a bad step to do that, right? If it's a college that you're actually hoping to attend, if you apply for a scholarship there and if they admit you and then you get a scholarship, that's the perfect match, right? But it may be that if they don't admit you, then you'll have spent that time applying for a scholarship that you didn't get. So it's not so much that it's good or bad. It's more that I would say, and I tell this to all the students I work with, apply for scholarships to all of the colleges that you are applying to. So if you're applying to 5 schools and they all offer scholarships, take the time, apply to scholarships at all of them, so that when you start to get your acceptances, you'll make sure that you're eligible for scholarships at all of those colleges. Now, you might not get awarded anything, but you might. So it's always worth doing.
Cool. And then a follow-up question from Jamie. She asked, if she is still not sure which college she wants to attend, do we still recommend applying for each scholarship for that school?
Yeah, and that's the question I just answered. Yes, definitely do that. Because if you don't, and then later you get accepted to that school and you want to go, what if you've missed the scholarship deadline? For most universities, their scholarship deadlines are well before they actually will offer admissions. So you'll kind of be out of luck if you don't bother to apply for scholarships. So I definitely recommend that you do that.
Cool. Okay, well, I invited a few more people to join. Jamie, if you have any other follow-up questions, obviously feel free to put them in the chat. But looks like nobody's joining yet. So we'll go back to the chat room and see what's in here. Got about 15 minutes left. Let's see here. Oh, man, there's just so many.
I'll pick one while you're searching for one.
Oh, sure. If you have one in mind, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Somebody's asking if there's scholarship opportunities for graduate students, and if so, what are the best websites and places to find them? Well, there are scholarship opportunities for graduate students, and we do have some in our platform, actually. So we're one of the websites you'd want to go to. But you can also go to other websites online to search for them. And of course, the universities themselves often offer scholarships for graduate students. And it's a great place to go, actually, to apply for graduate scholarships, because they often do offer them. I should mention also, for graduate students who are submitting the FAFSA, one thing to be aware of is that there are no federal grants for most graduate students. I think there's like a federal teaching grant if you want to be a teacher in your postgrad, but for the vast majority of postgraduate students, there are no free tuition grants for college offered by the federal government. So scholarships are really going to be the way to go, and you want to apply for both private scholarships and scholarships from the universities you plan to apply to.
Cool. And actually, that's a great kind of jumping off point for another question I was looking at, which it's sort of two-part. It's someone asked, Do international students ever qualify for free tuition? I'm assuming they mean in the U.S. And then second part to that would be, can international students also use scholarship hours just like master's students?
Yes. Whether you're international students or U.S. citizens or permanent residents, whatever your status is, you can apply for scholarships through us. The way that it works, and I'll just sort of digress just slightly for those of you who are not as familiar with our platform, when you join, you'll get a match list of scholarships that are in the system. So some of those scholarships, or some of those students might get 300 matches. Another student might get 250. Another student might get 450. What does this mean? That means that the match list is for you specifically based on your profile. So if you see a list of scholarships in your scholarship owl profile that you're matched to, you can qualify for those. And so if you're an international student or if you're a graduate student, whatever you're matched to in our system, those are scholarships that you are eligible for. So that's the answer for that question. Can international students ever get free tuition? Yes, it is possible. Is it common? No. It's just really important to know that. And some international students are looking for what they refer to as a free ride or full ride scholarship, meaning no cost at all. Meaning you pay for your room and board as well as your tuition. Very, very rare for international students to get full ride scholarships. And it's actually pretty rare for US students to get full ride scholarships as well, but particularly for international students, it's very rare. And I guess the only way to say this is to be honest, that a lot of universities, the money they receive from international students helps to subsidize American students who are not able to pay the full price. So they count on international students to be able to pay higher amounts, right? You're paying like an out-of-state tuition cost to be able to attend as an international student. So, as much as there is great promise in America and we have a wonderful education system here, it may not offer the free tuition or the full ride scholarship that you're looking for if you are an international student.
Cool. Excuse me. There was no avoiding that one. So someone asked this kind of interesting question. Will the scholarship money that they potentially win, will they receive it themselves, or will it go to the college?
Okay. No problem. So it depends on the scholarship provider. In many cases, the scholarship provider will pay the money directly to the university you plan to attend. And then if after the university has deducted their tuition and fees and other expenses out of that scholarship, if there's extra money, then the university will refund the balance to you. But in some cases, the scholarship provider will send you a check directly and you can then use that check for tuition or living expenses. It just depends on what the provider wants to do. And to see how they're going to do that, you would go to the provider's website that talks about their scholarship, and you can look at their terms and conditions. And usually that information will be revealed there.
Cool. Someone else asked, how is their EFC determined?
Okay, so the EFC is your estimated family contribution. So I don't know if you remember that slide, right? So it's the cost of attendance minus the, let me bring it up here. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm saying this right. Okay, so, oh boy, I'm trying to go through my slide deck and it's taking a long time. Here we go. I just don't want to say it wrong. Okay. There it is. Okay. So cost of attendance, which is COA, minus your estimated family contribution, EFC, equals financial need. Okay. So that is the equation that I gave. So the estimated family contribution is dependent upon your family's income and assets. So there's a document you can find online that's many, many pages. If you search for it, you can ask for the EFC formula, and it's like a 20 or 30 page document. It's really hard to understand. And I don't think that that's accidental. I think it's purposely made to be confusing and obtuse so people don't really understand how the EFC is calculated. But essentially, on the FAFSA, you put in your parent income and you put in your own income if you're a student and you've had income yourself. And then you have to describe what your assets are and your family's assets. And they put all that together into their little formulas. And then they determine what your EFC is based on that. A lot of people who have not filled out the FAFSA before assume that they make allowances for maybe what state you live in, the cost of living. So for example, California and New York have very high cost of living, whereas in some Midwestern or Southern states, the cost of living might be less. They do not make allowances for that. It doesn't matter where you live. The formula is based on the national average rather than individual states. So what's frustrating is you may have much higher expenses depending on the state you live in. Your family may be paying a high mortgage or a high rent versus another state where the family pays significantly less, but it doesn't matter because ultimately it's based on the averages that are built into the formula. So the FAFSA has a lot of updating that's needed. There are a lot of problems with it. I don't know how long it's going to take for those updates. There are going to be some changes to the FAFSA that are going to start, I think, in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But it still will not solve this problem. So that's the best I can tell you about the FAFSA and their formula right now.
Cool. I just let somebody in, so hopefully they will eventually join.
Okay.
But for now, we'll move forward with another chat question. And I'm going to start jumping around a little bit because we're starting to run low on time.
Okay.
This one, it says, can a student apply for a student loan without their parents' help as a cosigner?
Okay, so federal student loans are guaranteed, so you do not need a parent cosigner, but these are specifically federal student loans. So if you're a freshman, you can take out up to $5,500. A sophomore can take out up to $6,500. A junior or senior can take out up to $7,500 per year. If you need to take out more than that, you would have to take out a private loan, and the vast majority of private loans do require a parent cosigner. Another option is if a parent wants to take out a loan to help pay for college, they can take out what's called a Parent Plus loan. With a Parent Plus loan, they do a credit check, and they do also look for, how much, what your income is, what the parent's income is, but it's a pretty easy process. If you have not, if you or your parent has not defaulted on a student loan already, there's a very good chance that your parent would qualify for a Parent Plus loan. If your parent applies for a Parent Plus loan and they don't qualify, in other words, if they're rejected, then the student is allowed to take out up to an additional $4,000 on top of what they were supposed to get for that year. So, if you've got a parent who's in a difficult situation where they have no income or where their house foreclosed recently or they had a recent bankruptcy or something like that, it is possible that if they apply for the Parent Plus loan and are denied, that the student can actually get more money in a student loan. So that's how that works.
Cool. Let's see. Someone asked, is it true that, and I'm assuming he or she means in some cases, is it true that if you have a job in college, it can count towards your expenses or reduce tuition? And I think you might have mentioned it briefly earlier, right?
If the student is asking about work study, I think that's maybe what they're referring to. So I'll talk a little bit about federal work study. So if you're interested in applying for work study, it's really important that when you submit the FAFSA that you check off the little box that asks, are you interested in work study? If you do not check yes, you will not be offered work study, even if you would normally qualify for it. So if you've already submitted your FAFSA and you don't know if you've checked that box, you can actually log into your FAFSA account and you can double check and you can check the box if you didn't check it yet. So that's just information for everyone here. The way that federal work study works is that basically you're awarded the opportunity to have a job on campus that would qualify for federal work study. So let's say you receive your financial aid award and it says $3,500 for federal work study. That's really cool, but it's not free money. It's not a grant. It's also not a loan. So that's also good news, right? And when you apply for a job on campus, you will see that there are some jobs where it says work study students only or work study students preferred. So the advantage if you have work study and if you want an on-campus job is that you'll get preferential treatment over students who did not get offered work study. But to get that $3,500, you actually must successfully apply for and obtain a job on campus. So, it's not just money that you'll be awarded, and no one is going to call you and say, hey, you qualify for work study, please come apply for jobs. It's your opportunity to apply for jobs, and you should contact the college's career center to apply for jobs. Say, I was offered work study, what work study jobs are available, how do I apply? So you have to do a little legwork. And then you can use the money that you earn to help pay for your living expenses, for example. The money gets paid to you. It does not get paid to the university, but then you can use that money to pay your bills as it relates to the school. The other thing that's really neat about work-study jobs, and this may have related to the question the student asked as well, is that if you do earn money through a work-study job, that work-study money will not count against you when you apply for the FAFSA the following year. So in other words, if you're a student and you earn $10,000, let's say, from a non-work study job, then that $10,000 will be used against you when you apply for the FAFSA, because they'll say, oh, you made more money than you did the year before. But any money you earn through work study will not count against you. It just doesn't show up. It's as if you didn't work. The other thing that's important to know, if I can remember what I was just going to say about work study, is that it's not taxed, which is also important. And lastly, if you are applying for like food stamps or other support programs, then they also do not count work study against you. So for example, in California, we have a program here that college students can qualify for called CalFresh. And if you have work study income, you do not have to report that income to CalFresh to qualify. So that's all the good stuff about work study.
Cool. And I'll echo what Jen's saying here, because I was lucky in college and I had a couple jobs that were related to work study by the time I graduated, and highly recommend doing it and checking the box. And I would say one of the benefits for me when I was applying for jobs at the time was, one, it was pretty startling to see how many jobs on campus were work study only. It's not just some, it's probably the majority of them from my experience. And naturally also very competitive. So the earlier you can apply, the better. And then two, from my experience, some of the jobs on campus for work study were some of the only jobs that were potentially available that were in my field. So I could actually get some experience that was directly related to my career, as opposed to going to work at a restaurant somewhere off campus. So if you are like an engineer or you're a music student, and they might be hiring like assistants like in the music office, or like maybe a TA position in engineering or something. It's all really relevant to potentially getting your first job also. So that's a huge opportunity that you don't want to miss out on.
Definitely.
Cool. Let's see. Someone said, oh, this is a cool one. Do SATs and ACTs affect scholarships? And I assume they mean winning scholarships.
Yes. So, this year it's sort of interesting, right? Because a lot of colleges are saying that SAT and ACT scores are optional. So students have more opportunity this year than this year and last year, I guess, than in prior years, to where maybe your college that you're applying to might not require a test score. But if you've taken the SAT or ACT and you've got a score you're proud of and you want to submit it, you can go ahead and submit it. The thing that's interesting when it comes to scholarships is that a lot of universities are basing the merit scholarships they offer on your GPA and your test scores. So what happens if you go to a school that does that and you choose not to send test scores? You would need to find out, because at some universities, they will say, oh, that's fine. We'll just make a decision on you based on your GPA. Other colleges will say, well, it is test optional to apply, but we're only going to be awarding merit scholarships to students who submit their SAT or ACT scores so that we can determine if they qualify for a merit scholarship. So it's really important that you find out what those requirements are. As far as private scholarships go, private scholarships do not care about test scores. They're not going to ask you for that information. So it's only the universities that will ask about your test scores.
Cool. I want to take a second to stop us here because we are technically at time.
Okay.
However, there's tons of more questions, and actually there's even a lot of conversation happening where some of you are actually providing your own insight from your experience, which is awesome. Should we kind of talk more about Discord and maybe how we can
talk about our student community? What are we doing?
Okay, so Jen and I honestly we weren't sure if we were going to talk about this further today, but since you guys are being so lively in the chat, it seems like a good day to do it. We are basically at a point where we can kind of soft launch our Discord. It is essentially ready, but we're starting to onboard some users. And since you guys have so many more questions left, and you also are actually bringing the conversation, between each other as well, I can't think of a better opportunity to share our Discord link with you guys, so that you guys can take this outside of the webinar and continue the conversation. You'll see that when you join the Discord, there's a ton of different channels. Each one has a different theme. from money saving tips to essay writing tips to just general resources for college. It's pretty self-explanatory, but each channel also has a topic explanation in case it's confusing at all. And of course, there's places to like introduce yourself, and also just we have a random channel if you do want to talk about anything outside of scholarships. But that is definitely the goal. We want you guys to be able to continue the conversation outside of these webinars in this community. Assuming Jen agrees with me, I think it would be great to share that with you guys. I can put the link in the chat, and we highly encourage you join and take these questions and comments and bring them over to our community.
Yeah, and while he's putting the link in the chat, I'll just tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. So for those of you who don't know what Discord is, I'm going to also have Dominic explain that.
Sure.
And I say that I think a lot of students are already using Discord. A lot of students that play video games are using Discord. For parents who are wondering, gee, what is Discord? Should I join? For those of you who are using Slack to communicate at work, it's kind of similar. So Discord is sort of like a youthful version of Slack that's used primarily by students to communicate with each other. So this community is for students, but parents are, of course, welcome to join. Dominic is also going to be launching a parent community on Facebook. So for those of you who are parents and you're interested in that, that's going to be launching soon as well.
But to have unique opportunities specifically for you guys in that Facebook group. So it's not just simply going to be a reposting what's going on in Discord. It's going to be content and activities specifically relevant to parents of students. So you definitely want to join that when it's ready to go.
Yeah. And then I also want to mention here, we're still working out all of the plans that we have for our Discord. However, one of the things we're going to be doing is special contests. And I should mention, by the way, for those of you who are unaware, at Scholarship Owl, we love contests. So besides scholarships, we love to do contests. We started doing them in September, and we do one contest every month. It's always, or I shouldn't say always, but so far it's always been the last week of every month that we have a contest. And you can hear about it through emails that we send, as well as on our social media. We'll also be posting about those in our Discord. And when the parent channel is up, when the parent group is up, we'll be posting about it there. But we're also, in addition to that, going to be running some special contests just for people in our Discord. What kinds of things do we do with our contests? You might be wondering. We don't just give away t-shirts. We give away great the we've given away MacBook Air. We've given away the iPad Air, the AirPod Pro earbuds is what I was trying to say. In February, we did a contest where we were giving away a $500 Amazon gift card, a $350 Amazon gift card, and a $150 Amazon gift card. So we really do want to give good prizes, and we try to keep those prizes the kinds of things that students either need or will use for school. Those are the kinds of things they're doing. I see that Dom has put the Discord link in there.
Yes.
So all you need to do, you want to explain a little bit more about what they do with that link?
Sure. So obviously a lot of this stuff is going to be, you need time to explore, right? So you're not going to learn all this stuff overnight if you're brand new to Discord. But I'm seeing a ton of people joining already. It's awesome. I recommend a few different things you can do when you first join. One, I recommend introducing yourself in the Introduce Yourself channel. Talk about who you are, what school you want to go to, what your scholarship journey has been so far. Secondly, there's a pinned message in the welcome channel that if you check for the pinned messages in there, or you can scroll all the way up, there's a message you can actually react to. And if you react to it, it will add you to our member section so that you'll have a little role, so you have a little title added to your, what you're doing in Discord. And, I recommend, try out any of the channels we have to offer, but we are, posting various activities in different channels. So for instance, as an example, let's see here, where is it? I believe it is in, yes, Resources for College. We posted a question of the week yesterday, and we'd love to have you contribute to that as well. And so it's, it asks, we want everyone to share a tip or an idea of what you think would be helpful for high school or incoming college students to know about college. And so if you're one of those students that's looking for tips, maybe you're just there for the answers. But if you have any ideas, throw them on there, and we'd love to see them And then, the same goes for all the other channels. We're going to continually add different topics to discuss, questions we're going to ask. We're going to, like you said, we're going to do contests specifically for Discord. We're going to do live Q&As in some cases. We're going to kind of connect you with some of our most successful scholarship awardees that are users on the site, and give you opportunities to ask them questions and pick their brain, and hopefully utilize that knowledge to get your own scholarships, and get more out of the tool. So we really want the community to be as much as it can be for you, and also I think we want it to be what you make it. So the more you contribute, the more questions you ask, and kind of start stirring conversation, the more we're going to be able to offer you guys and make it a really lively place that is always going to be available for you 24/7.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that while we're talking about it here, for those of you who are wondering, it's for students by students, but it's also from Scholarship Owls. So you'll find me there every day. I will be in there. I'll be lurking. I'm going to be responding to questions. I'll be posting things. So if you want access to a college counselor, you can post questions in there and tag me, and I will go ahead and respond to you. And Dom's in there every day too, and he's got some great advice. So I think it's going to be a great place for our students. I'm also a parent, and I'm very excited about joining our new parent group when it is ready. I already belong to some parent Facebook groups that are very lively, and I have a great time as a participant there. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I'm just going to scroll really quickly here. Somebody posted a message here, private message, Dom, that says that the link is invalid. I don't know that that's true, because it looks like other people have joined. So
yeah, we actually have a lot of people join. I'm going to post it again, just the chat, not as an announcement. Try it again, because that one's actually clickable.
Okay.
The black thing sign on screen is just going to be like a bulletin board. So that link I just put in there should actually be clickable this time.
Okay. All right. And then lastly, I just want to mention that for those of you who did stay through and attend this, we not only are going to be sending you an email in the next 24 hours with a link to the replay of this, but you'll also get a link to download my cost savings cheat sheet that I created. So you'll be able to download that and get some tips from there. All right. And I'm going to quickly scroll through here and just give very fast answers to some of these. What is a merit scholarship? A merit scholarship is a scholarship that's based on your academic ability and what you've shown. So it's basically your grades and your test scores. The higher your grades, the higher your test scores, the more likely you will qualify for a merit scholarship. Okay, what has to be done to be eligible for work study my second year of college? Check that little box on the FAFSA, and also it will depend on your family income. So if your EFC is lower, you're going to have a greater chance of qualifying for work study, versus if your income is higher, then you'll have less likely that you'll be able to qualify. But you have to check that box or you can't even qualify. Normally, what is the minimum hours for work study job? That can vary depending on what the campus is looking for, but typically it's somewhere between 8 and 15 hours a week for a work study job. Let's see here. Can you turn down work study if awarded? You have to take it. No, you do not have to take it because, again, it's a job you have to apply for. So if you never apply for a job, then you don't have to take work study. So it just means it's available to you if it's offered. Is there a limit to the number of jobs you can work in work study? So the limit is actually the dollar cap. So if your financial aid award from your college says your award is $3,500, that is the maximum amount you can earn in work study dollars that school year. Or if it's $5,000, then the maximum amount you can earn is $5,000. So it's just limited specifically on your financial aid offer. Can I negotiate my tuition in college? I love that question. And actually, depending on the school, you may be able to. That would be a private school, typically, not usually a public university. Private universities have what they call a sticker price, and then they might offer scholarships to entice you to attend, right? So those are going to be merit scholarships. So a student who did very well in high school might get offered a $20,000 merit scholarship. But let's say the school costs $55,000 and you get 20. That's wonderful, but now you still owe $35,000 for that year. What do? Well, you might be surprised to know that you could actually contact the financial aid office and say, wow, I really want to attend and this is a great scholarship offer, but I can't afford $35,000. Is there anything I can do to get additional scholarships? And all of a sudden they may say, well, we can give you another $5,000. You would be surprised. I don't want to describe it as a swap meet, but to a certain extent, when you're applying to private schools, there is a little bit of wiggle room and you may be able to negotiate for a better financial aid offer. Okay.
Really quick, Jen, I just want to pause here, and I see there's already typing happening in the Introduce Yourself channel, which is awesome. So please follow your friends and do the same. As you see more Introduce Yourself messages coming in, please keep doing that. We love reading these stories. We might even be able to use them one day, do like a student feature or something like that. And then, of course, take a look at all the other channels as well. Really quickly, since it's getting active every minute, it's getting more active. One thing you can use every day is a channel called Daily Motivation, which we are going to fill with all kinds of things like motivational memes and stories and quotes and just things that can inspire us every day, because applying for scholarships is hard. It's not easy, and college is hard. And you might need a place to decompress and just to feel aligned with other people that are going through the same things that you are. And so having a space to do that could be exactly what you need every day. So if you're into memes, that kind of stuff, whether they're funny or inspirational, and anywhere in between, please don't hesitate to post them there at any time. And really, beyond our actual server rules, there's no true rules around how much you can contribute in these channels. So don't hesitate to just jump right into the conversations.
Yeah. And invite your friends, right? They don't have to be attending these webinars, or they don't have to be a member of Scholarship Owl, but tell them this is a great resource that's available on Discord, and you can give them, you can invite them through Discord, you can invite them to the channel, and then they can get some great advice and information about scholarships in college.
I totally agree. We obviously would love it if everybody in our community is an active user in Scholarship Owl. That would be a huge opportunity for all of you, because then you can all potentially win scholarships. But we also want to be a resource for anyone who is in your similar situation. And we want to be kind of at the forefront of anything related to scholarships, saving money for college, preparing for college, essay writing tips that you could even use outside of applying for scholarships. They could be things you could use during college. So like I said earlier, the community is what you make it. So please jump right in and contribute however you see fit.
All right, I think we're about done here. I'm actually going to hop off and visit the Discord briefly and say hi to those of you who are in there. My name on there, you'll see me. I'm Jennifer F. So feel free to tag me if you've got a question and you want to ask me. I will go ahead and respond. And I will see you all in the Discord and hopefully at our very next webinar. We do these once a month. And I'd love to see you at the next one.
Awesome. Yes, and I'll be in there as well all the time, so you can always tag me as well for questions. And stay tuned for more activities throughout each week. Like I said, this is our first day. You are our first official public users. So give us a little time to populate it, but you will start seeing stuff in there very soon.
Very cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.